Cowboys.
Come on, y'all! Get you some of that!
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Blue Star Roundup. I'm Rob Vale. This is Levi Batchelor. We are with the Middle Tennessee Dallas Cowboys fan club. We're going to review our previous Cowboys game and give a little bit of a preview of the upcoming game. Talk to you a little bit about our watch parties. If you're in Middle Tennessee, you're going to want to come out and check us out and have a good time with us. So let's dive right into it. I mean, Minnesota, we played Thursday night, and 17-15 wasn't the most beautiful win that we've had, but
A W is a W.
yeah, not bad at all. What was your take on it?
Definitely was not the prettiest win. A few of my takeaways on the offense is really just poor execution. Up front, Dak didn't have his best game. Zeke didn't have his best game. Of course, he busted a couple of runs that ended up getting called back because of holding calls and other penalties. And I had my qualms with the play calling. I know others necessarily didn't, but I'm pretty picky when it comes to play calling. And the poor play calling on top of poor execution and constantly shooting yourselves in the foot, an offense that'll grind out 17 points for you. That's what we saw. On defense, the over pursuit when it came to tackling that really hurt us. It seemed like a lot of guys had started in good position to make a tackle, but by the time they had got to the ball carrier, had already overran him and was trying to tackle with fingers and arms and stuff, which you're not going to be able to do much in the NFL. Gap control was iffy at times, but man, if there is one thing that you can say about this defense with your MVP in Mo being out, still on the sideline. Church, he was back in there. It wasn't super effective because he still got that arm and everything.
He was rotating in and out.
These guys are tough. Tough.
Tough is probably the best word to describe it because they are constantly, they're rotating in and out. I mean, that defensive line rotates in and out quite a bit. Still haven't given up a 100-yard rusher. Now, the fact is we get eat up a lot underneath. It's okay as long as we don't break. And again, we talk about that bend but don't break, and certainly the case with these guys. If we were going to say one side of the ball or the other won this game for us, I got to say that it was the defense.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, like you said, you only put up 17 points, well below your season average. Let's be real. The Minnesota Vikings offense is not a juggernaut.
Right.
But they're an NFL team. They're still professional athletes, and they're very good at their jobs. The difference is that we were actually able to go out there and stop them when we had to on defense.
Absolutely.
And that red zone defense is just
stout.
Is just very stout. And so we look at some of these stats, and we'll go through the individual stats. But the one thing I want to point out is the time of possession. This is one of the few times that we were on the short end of that stick by a fairly good margin. It was 26, almost 27 minutes to 33 minutes. You're looking at 6 or a little bit more than six and a half minute difference. That just means your defense is out there a little bit longer, and they still stood up. So, kudos to them. Kudos to Rod Marinelli, who is just, I think, if anybody on this team other than Garrett is Coach of the Year material, it has got to be Rod Marinelli. He is making this thing work. When you have three mainstay starters that just is not even allowed to play for suspension between McLean and Gregory and Tank Lawrence, Tank's back now, but when you have to compensate for that, I think the job he's done is phenomenal. And in the highly unlikely event that Rod Marinelli sees this video, my hat's off to you.
Yes.
For the job that you've done. Diving a little bit into the stats side of this, just kind of looking at it, not a stellar offensive performance. Prescott was 12 for 18. He did have a touchdown. Only had 139 yards, but again, did not throw an interception. Elliott was held under 100 yards again, 20 attempts for 86 yards. He had one long one of 30. And Prescott had 37 yards on his own on 6 rushes. Dez had 4 receptions. Elliott had 4 receptions. Beasley only got 2, but Dez did get that touchdown. And of course, he had that one big reception going in. And I don't,
Gorgeous route.
and I gotta say something about that play. If you go back to that play, if you rewatch it, look at what Dak Prescott is doing before the snap. He is changing that play. He sees that defense. He understands what the coverages are going to be, and he communicates with Dez. And so what they ended up doing was he checked out, and I'm somewhat confident that route that Dez ran was not the designed. It was not the route out of that the initial formation, because you watch him move. Dez doesn't move, but the rest of the formation does, and they get into pass pro positions. And so when he snaps that ball, then Dez knew. I mean, that's stuff that happens between a quarterback and a receiver when they're on the same page. Dez had the one long reception for 56 yards, and Dak only had 139 for the game. But that being said, when you see that kind of communication between a receiver and a quarterback, you know things are really starting to click. The game is slowing down for the quarterback. Dez understands his route responsibilities, and it was just a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, when he was making those changes at the line, I just felt something was going to happen on that play. On defense, Church led the team with tackles. Well, he had 7, 2 assists, and Byron Jones had 7 with 1 assist. Carr had 6, Hitchens had 6, Lee had 6, Scandrick had 6. Hitchens got his sack.
Oh no! Almost had a pick too.
Yeah. That if it would have just held up, I mean, we would have been fine. Defensively, good job all around. The points, Zeke still leads the NFL in rushing by 243 yards over Murray. 1,285 on the season right now.
Wow.
And I just saw today that Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott leads the entire voting for the Pro Bowl.
Those two guys. They have to.
And we have 7 Cowboys that are leading at their positions.
Nice.
So
get out there and vote for your Cowboys.
That's right. Get out and vote. Thoughts on where we are in terms of the season right now before we get to this next game against the Giants, which is just taking us into the final quarter?
If we were going to lose another game, I almost would have rather it would have been Minnesota. So with that said, I am glad that we had our struggles and still pulled out a win. These guys all know that you have got to show up and execute. You're not just going to roll into any NFL stadium. I think this game against Minnesota was a wake-up call. I think that this is look, we want to go assert our dominance, run that football, let that offensive line start wearing defenses down, and let Dak do his thing. Let's keep our defense fresh and out there flying around the football like they do. I think it just speaks to the team because it was clear this offense, they did not execute very well. They had their spots with the big Zeke rush, but that got called back. But then the big pass downfield to Dez on his perfect route and a perfect throw by Dak as well. But, they had their spots. But overall, the entire team did not execute very well. That brings games where you struggle like that, I think, bring you focus. And I think that if there is a thing that this team needed, it was a kick in the pants, just like that, to get us ready for this playoff run.
Don't underestimate the difficulty of playing 3 games in 12 days.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Especially taking that 3rd game on the road. That is a really difficult thing to do in the NFL. These guys play with bumps and bruises all the time, but they usually get 7 days to heal from those things and start getting back in. By the time they reach maybe Thursday or Friday, they are starting to feel like they can get back into practice and go full speed and things like that. And the Cowboys didn't really have those opportunities. I'm of the mindset that this was probably a great game for the Cowboys. It was a team effort,
Absolutely.
And that's what this season is. If one side isn't doing well, the other side picks it up. And so if I encapsulate this year up to this point, I would have to say that this is probably the best team overall, in the way that they're picking up each other's back, watching each other's back, and all that I've seen in probably the last 10 to 12 years from this franchise. And that's credit to Garrett. That's the mindset that Garrett has instilled in this team. So as we move forward, I don't think we'll ever see this team, at least this year, think they're all of that in a bag of chips.
Right.
I think that right now their only thought is the New York Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not thinking about how bad they were against Minnesota or how great they were against any other teams. They're only thinking about that, and quite frankly, they may actually be thinking about one other game. They may be thinking about that first game.
Yep.
They may be thinking, you know what, we know we should have won it, and now we're going to go out and prove it. As we move forward in the next segment of this broadcast, we are going to talk about the New York Giants. While we're gone, you'll see our sponsors come up on there, GameDaySportsTours.com, Sam's Sports Grill at Blue Turtle Bay and Old Hickory, where we have our watch parties, and also the Ultimate Sports Fan, who does they're in Mount Juliet. They do our trivia question or our question at halftime, and you can have an opportunity to win a gift certificate from them. And we got some other surprises coming up. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute.
Well, up in the north, the way out west, even in the east, they know that we're the best in the land of the star. We're living the dream. Texas proud, we're America's team. We're the Cowboys. Stop!
The them Dallas Cowboys.
Stop! Come on, everybody, out of your seat. Stand up now and stomp your feet. Let's raise the roof, make a little noise. Here come the Dallas Cowboys.
We are back, and thanks for sticking with us. And so we're going to talk about the New York Giants game coming up this Sunday night. I guess the place to start with is what's on the line, and obviously
The East.
It's the East. It's the division. We've already clinched the playoff spot. It would be, for me as a fan and for watching this team since 1968, it will be very sweet to clinch that division in New York against the Giants on their turf. No lying, I don't care. That's the way I want to see it done.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
if it makes the Giants that much more bitter, awesome.
That's right.
It is what it is. That's where we got to start. That's what's on the line, and possibly, depending on what happens earlier in the day, if Detroit stumbles against Chicago or Seattle happens to lose, then that game, if we win it, we would be playing for home field advantage.
Home field advantage.
Your thoughts on the Giant game?
I have 3 keys.
No.
Yeah, I've got my 3 keys. Key number 1, feed the beast.
Yeah.
Feed him
Yeah.
over and over. Number 2, we have got to execute better along the offensive, I'll say both lines, along the offensive line and along the defensive line, or at least better than we did against Minnesota. Feed the beast, execute. Key number 3, feed the beast. There is no reason that we shouldn't go up there and Zeke punish New York. There is no reason. The biggest difference between where we're at as a team right now and where we were at as a team week 1. Zeke, at that point, Zeke had missed training camp with his hamstring, had only been practicing for a couple of weeks, and it was very clear that he was way too impatient. Well, guess what, New York? You get to see Zeke, who's now simpatico with all 5 of them guys up front. There is no reason that Zeke shouldn't rush for 150 yards. I mean, he ought to go in there and just dominate.
Well, there's certainly a certain synergy that the running back has with the offensive line, and you don't get that just by throwing on a helmet and running out there the first time and know. You got to know your offensive line tendencies. Offensive line has to know the running back tendencies. There's a lot of things that happen there. I actually had 3 keys myself, and I think you took 2 of them.
What, feed the beast and feed the beast?
Yeah, well, no, just one of them. Actually, I think my first one was controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of this ball. He'll get the ball to him.
Right.
And he'll get the ball to him fast. So we got to figure out a way to get that pressure, at least make him make bad decisions, because he makes bad decisions.
Yep.
Eli makes bad decisions. Eli Manning threw as many picks in last week's game as Dak Prescott has all year. So he'll make errors. On the other side of the ball, control the line of scrimmage, feeding off what you were talking about. Absolutely got to get control of that offensive line. Don't know if JPP is going to play. It looked like he got hurt fairly significantly. I mean, it looked like a groin injury.
Yep.
They're really hard to come back from, especially if you get a groin injury and you're a defensive lineman. You got to use so much leverage and so much power.
Yep.
And so much of that is in your legs,
right,
and in your lower half,
hips and thighs. Yep.
Yeah, and so if you've got a groin injury, that's going to really limit you. So I don't know how severe it is. I haven't seen anything about it yet, but we'll watch it and we'll see what happens throughout the week. I also said get Zeke untracked. We have to get him. We've had a couple games now where he started smelling the 100-yard area, but he hadn't quite got there. But I agree with you. This is a poor rushing defense. They can be had. Last week they gave up their first 100-yard rusher. Okay, but it was 139 yards to Le'Veon Bell. I think we can get Zeke untracked this week. I think we can make it two in a row, 100-yard rushers against him. I'm not going to go so far as to say 150, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes big. I mean, nothing that he does anymore surprises me. The third thing is keep Odell Beckham Jr. In check. I don't know what we're going to do there. I don't know if we're going to bracket him. I don't know, how we're going to specifically. I don't know if we're going to man up on him, and I don't know if we're going to travel with him. So I don't know what will happen there. More than likely, we will use some single high just to see what we can do with him. I mean, keep him in check a little bit. What you don't want to do is you don't want to let him get behind you and have Manning have a few seconds. Be prepared to see a lot more of that underneath slant stuff and getting caught. The thing, when they do that, because we know what's going to happen, but what has to happen is when it happens, it's the mantra, rally and tackle, and tackle. We have to rally to them, and we have to make the tackle on that first hit, and we have to make them pay. Right. We have to hit them, and we have to hit them hard. Sean Lee is an expert at that. Usually it's our guys he's knocking out. Yeah. Let's try to hit their guys. But at the end of the day, I think those are the three things that have to happen. If those things happen, if we control the line, especially if we control the line of scrimmage on the offensive side, we're going to score more than 17 points. Oh, we're going to get up into the neighborhood of close to the 35 number if we do that, because I think their defense can be had. So we'll see. Prediction on a score?
I think we go in and stomp them 31-14.
Not too far from where I'm at. I'm at 28-17.
Yeah.
And I think we win the East at minimum. And I think we do it on their field, and I think they're going to feel really bad, and I don't really care. So that's kind of where we're at.
You couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, we normally talk. We also mention a player to watch and who to keep an eye on. Who are you going to look at?
The Beast.
The Beast. Okay.
I think he goes for 150 yards and a couple touchdowns, and I think the Giants are chasing 21 all day.
Yeah. Well, that would be awesome. I think that would be. I think it's more likely than not for that to happen. So that's a good thing. I look at, you look at players to watch and all that kind of stuff, and I'm going to watch Jason Witten. Jason Witten was held without a catch, first time in 130.
Time in a long time.
It was 130 games or something
like that.
Something unreal.
A long time.
And I think he wants to come back with a vengeance. Now, when asked about it, he says, "I don't care. We won the game." That's the way this entire team looks at it. He may be a major factor before this one's over. So
you were talking about OBJ and what we'd like to do on defense. He is such a head case that he's easy to get flustered. And so I want to see, instead of, regardless of who it is we put on it, my personal preference, I would rather see Anthony Brown on him than I would Carr, because Carr is good at getting burnt. But I would rather see them play whoever it is that's going to be covering him, play right on the line of scrimmage, get right into his face, get him, get his first couple of steps to be off of his route, and get him off his timing with Eli, and make him sit and whine to the refs all game. That's what I want to see, because the sooner you can get OBJ focused on the ref and being a drama queen, the sooner he's going to be ineffective.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. He's either going to be beating up the kicking net or proposing marriage to it. I mean,
Right.
we've seen that both this year when he's been out of his mind. So,
Yep.
I did see that Victor Cruz was complaining that he did not get a single target in the last game, and he made the statement that I am going to talk to somebody about this. So, I don't know. Does that mean he gets more targets? It may mean he gets less. I don't know how you get less than zero, but he was being rotated in and out with I believe a rookie wide receiver in that game against Pittsburgh. So
They have that Shepherd kid too. He's
Yeah.
a pretty good receiver.
so I mean
right.
there's definitely issues internally with the Giants. And that's all good for the Cowboys. I mean, I just hope they implode. I mean, it'd be awesome. But with that said, we still have to go in there and we still have to play a sound football game. We have to, offense, defense, special teams. Don't give up cheap stuff. Don't pay attention. Keep your head in the game. Don't do stupid penalties.
Right.
Yeah, we got away with one at the end of the game with the Vikings, but at the same time, they would have been offsetting penalties because if they would have called both penalties, their tackle moved.
Oh yeah.
Before the ball was snapped. So, but that's all behind us. But what we got to do is we got to focus on playing sound football. So.
And you bring up special teams, I'll just make this one little note. Chris Jones should be a Pro Bowler. I mean,
he's leading.
He's been fantastic. Mr. Automatic, he has been. I mean, once he got over his issues with his back, he has gone back to being Dan Bailey. I mean, and this coverage unit,
they're playing very well.
oh my gosh, they're lights out. So I mean, literally all three facets of the game, this team has really put them all together. Now it's just a matter of, can we get all three of those facets to execute?
This is interesting and talk about the special teams. We don't talk about them that much. But I want to say something about one of the guys on that kick coverage. We talked about him on defense before, and it's Jeff Heath. Jeff Heath plays a fantastic. He's a fantastic special teams player.
Yes.
His tackles are very sure. He's in the right position. He maintains his lanes. He just does a very solid job. I mean, if you look at Jeff, I mean, I think back, and I think about special teams guys. I mean, he kind of reminds me. I'm not saying he is, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of Bill Bates. He was constantly good, and Jeff Heath is constantly good. There's a reason he's still on this team, and it's not because of his defensive skill set. He plays okay enough when he's in there, but if he's relied upon for an extended period of time, that could be a liability. But on special teams, that's why they've kept him.
Oh yeah.
Because there isn't anybody much better that at doing what he does.
Right.
And that's why I say he reminds me a little bit of Bill Bates. So that kind of wraps it up for the day. A couple things to remind you about. We have a watch party every game day out at Sam's Sports Grill at Blue Turtle Bay in Old Hickory, Tennessee. So if you are a Dallas Cowboys fan,
Gotta come out.
you need to come out.
Gotta come out.
And just join us out there. You buy any drink, whether it's a soda or an alcoholic beverage, you get 50% off of your food. And I'm telling you, the food is fantastic.
Awesome. I had the pizza this last time. Matter of fact, it was the first time I ever tried the pizza. Get the pizza.
Yeah, I did. The first time
Get
I
the
did
pizza.
it too, it was awesome. So the ribs are great. The shrimp is great. You'll have a great time. You'll enjoy the food, and you know what? You're going to sit there and you're going to watch the Cowboys win the NFC East. So if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, come on out, have a great time.
If you need to bring the kids, bring them. It's
bring 'em.
family friendly. We
Yeah.
just go and have a good time.
We usually have maybe 2, 3, 4 kids there. Just different ages, and we have a good time. I understand that it's Sunday night and they got to get up for school, but every now and then they can have a.
You at least show up for a bit.
Yeah, well. Maybe the kids can have a cowboy hangover warning.
That's right.
And just say,
come in and have dinner.
Yeah. But so come out for that. Yeah, here's something else we're going to do. In the spirit of Christmas, the Middle Tennessee Dallas Cowboys Fan Club is going to be doing a special premium members drawing. Now, we normally do these drawings throughout the game where we give away some autograph stuff, and we're still going to do that this year, or this week, but we're also going to do something else.
Santa. I just heard that Santa stopped by the Ultimate Sports Fan in Mount Juliet.
That's right. It's right. And well, he left a couple boxes there. So they're going to have, I'm sure they're going to have Cowboy stuff in, because Santa knows we're all Cowboy fans. We're America's team. We're God's team.
Right.
I'm sure we're Santa's team.
That's it.
Anyway, so make sure that you come out for that. We're going to do that drawing. If you're going to get a number, if you win, you'll get a number. You take that into the Ultimate Sports Fan in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Give them that number. Tell them you won, and they're going to give you a box, and you're going to get whatever's in that box. So come on out for that. They also do our trivia or our question at the halftime. So somewhere in this video, we mentioned something about something of someone or some numbers or something, and you're going to need to know that. You can win a gift card for out there. Don't forget, if you're a premium member, you also get 15% discount from them as well. So it's going to be a fun night.
Yep.
We always have a good time
Sure
out
is.
there. Come out, have a wonderful time, and go from there. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you again next week. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Up them down.